Welcome to the Black Belt Business Podcast. My name is Matthew Brenner, and today I'm with Matt Chapman. We've been friends for a while on social media, and he's going to be, if you're interested in running an online martial arts program where you're able to bring in revenue through courses, this is going to be an episode for you. So, Matt, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much for inviting me on. I appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about your martial arts background and about what you focus on for your business for people who don't know.
Yeah, so started martial arts about 35 years ago, did various styles over the next sort of 10, 15, 20 years, decided that I wanted to become a martial arts instructor full time, went straight into that. So I've never had another job or any other activity that I've ever done. I've always just been a martial arts instructor. Set up a school near London in the UK, which quickly grew to around 400 members and ran that for 19 years before totally burning myself out, exhausting myself, and deciding that I needed a change. And that was what led me into looking at teaching martial arts online.
So, what platform do you use for teaching martial arts online?
So I use a platform called Thinkific, but there's lots of different platforms that you can use. I like Thinkific because it's super powerful. It has lots of bells and whistles and allows you to build a website, allows you to do all sorts of cool things with your online courses. But all of the platforms are good. It's just about finding the right one that suits you, really.
So did that replace your revenue for your martial arts school?
Yeah, literally. I started doing a little bit of putting my stuff onto YouTube and seeing if other instructors were interested in it. They seemed to like the content, gave me lots of positive feedback. So then I started to create small courses that I used to charge a low amount for. And over a period of a few years, it started to increase and grow to the point where I thought, "Oh, I wonder if I could do this full time." And essentially, I sold my school at that point to my business partner and friend. He took over the physical school, and I went all in on online. And I do recommend, if anyone's thinking about doing this, not to do what I did. I don't think it's a good idea to sell your school and just do online. I think you need both sides of it. You need the physical teaching, obviously, and then the online can support and supplement that teaching. But I decided I was ready for a new adventure after 20 years of running a full-time school. Time to do something different. So I sold my half of the business and then fully went online.
Why would you not recommend someone just go all in online? Because is it a long startup period to actually make good money, and then once you do, it's good. It takes a while. Why would you say that?
No, it depends on how active you are online before jumping into it full time. But for most instructors, I think it makes sense to keep the physical part of the business going because it's what you're most passionate about. It's teaching groups of people and helping people in your local community and making a difference. So that's what I miss about. So I sold my school 6 years ago. What I miss about that is interacting with the students, the fun and games that you have, even solving problems that come with students, but just that kind of making a difference in the local community. I miss that. So if I was to do it again, I would just kind of probably downgrade my role within the business. Instead of being like the leader of the business, I would become a head instructor and teach a few classes a week, do a bit of the marketing for the business, and then spend the rest of the time online. And that gives you the best of both worlds. That gives you the physical and the digital combined.
Hmm. So how long did it take you to actually replace enough income online for you to be comfortable?
Well, I made every mistake possible in the book. I did everything wrong you could possibly do, mainly around the theme of Field of Dreams, if you've seen that film, which is a film with Kevin Costner in it. And
Yep.
part of the theme of that film is if you build it, they will come. So I built all these online courses, put them on the internet, and instantly made zero sales. No one came. So that was the first year of making a lot of mistakes. But within 2 years after that, I'd replaced my income from my martial arts school. But the first year was brutal.
Are you
Because
just living off the savings of the sale?
yes, yes, yeah.
Okay. So when you're selling courses, who are you selling them to? Are you selling them to martial arts school operators or to students? Who is your target audience?
Yeah, my target audience was martial arts instructors because I was a martial art instructor that would go on to YouTube and look for ideas for classes or new drills or new fun ways of teaching kids and things like that. I've had a lot of experience teaching. I've been teaching a fair amount of time and I trained in a lot of different martial arts, but I'm always open minded to like picking up new things and new ideas and new concepts. So I would jump onto YouTube and see if I could get some great ideas. So my target market initially was instructors who were also open-minded about learning from different sources, which can be a bit of a struggle with the martial arts industry because we can be a bit blinkered and a bit restrictive, and we don't necessarily have a growth mindset when it comes to learning online. But yeah, my target was those instructors, and luckily I found lots of them out there who are willing to learn. So that's what I've been doing.
So, what's your model? Are you looking for a subscription-based model, or people just buy a course and then they have access to that course forever? How do you run it?
Yeah, so the mistake I made originally was just creating a load of courses that I thought martial arts instructors would be into without actually speaking to martial arts instructors about what they're struggling with, what they need help with, what could support their learning and their development within their school. So the very first thing, like I advise people to do, is do a bit of research on who you're trying to target, who you're trying to help, and then ask them to give you feedback what they need, and then create courses specifically for them. I would start with courses, small courses that are sort of 60 to 90 minutes in length. You don't want to do like a 6 or 10 hour course because it takes too much time, too much effort, too much editing. So I'd start with that, and then I'd move into memberships and subscriptions afterwards. But they are the holy grail of online business, recurring revenue, like a martial arts school. But they're hard to create. They require you to continually add new content, which is quite a lot of effort and work. And you're going to get churn. Obviously, people are going to unsubscribe or stop paying for subscription at certain points. There is a bit of a problem, I think, right now with subscription fatigue, where people have their Netflix, their Apple, their Hulu, their gym membership, their martial arts, and they've got 30, 40, 50 subscriptions happening. So I think people can become a bit burnt out. So I'd start with actual short courses that are targeted at a specific group of people who need your help, and get feedback from them on what they'd like you to build next, and then just continue that dialogue between you and your audience to create your content.
That's a great tip because I know I'm going to be starting a new course. So right now I do specifically for martial arts school owners who want to grow their school organically. That's like my main offer.
Yep.
And it's not a cheap program because they do one-on-one coaching with me. So I
Mm.
wanted to do something for school owners who have less than 100 students, just because
Yeah.
they need the help and support. And they just
Yep.
can't afford like a mastermind or one-on-one coaching, right?
Yes.
So I've been thinking about how I'm going to do that. And I put together all this stuff, but I do know that I'll start to sell it before the course is completely done. I just have an outline I know what all the content's going to be in there, but I'm
Yep.
not necessarily going to have it all done and polished before I sell it. I'll sell it first and say, okay, cool. You guys will be
Yes.
the founders. And then
Yes.
all the content will appear by this day, or like it'll trickle out by this day and time.
Yeah.
Because I know that one of the things that's interesting is if you have too much content that you give people, they don't consume it and they feel like they're not using it. And then they are more likely to quit and you'll have a higher churn rate, which is really interesting. Like you would think the more you gave people, the better, the more satisfied they would be. Like, oh, look at all this value. But it's actually the exact opposite. If you give too much, then people are like, oh, I'm not using it. I'm just going to cancel. And I've
That.
definitely felt that way too for things that
Yeah.
I've used.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly it.
it's an interesting
People are
mix.
overwhelmed. People get overwhelmed with content. There's nothing worse than logging in on a course and there's 12 hours worth of content, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is going to take so long. So yeah, either drip feeding the content out over a period of time, or starting them with manageable step-by-step levels or modules is the way to do it. And most of my courses, like the lessons within the course, are short, like 3 to 5 minutes per lesson, but there's lots of lessons, and that way people can get through maybe 5, 10 lessons, then take a break, go back and go for another 5, 10 lessons. It's not like one video that just lasts for hours and hours. So
Yeah. You got to
that's a
think, all
good
right,
idea.
people. Yeah, you got to think people are watching like TikToks that are like 9 seconds. Like they're not going to sit there and watch a 2 hour video. Also, it's intimidating if you open up a 2 hour video. It's oh god, you can't remember
Yeah,
where you
well,
left off last time.
you got to book time in your diary as well. If you just want something quick and actionable to work on, you don't want to sit through 2 hours of video. It just doesn't work with modern people. So when you create your course, make sure your videos are short, not super short, because you have to be teaching. So I'm not talking about like an 8 second technical TikTok, but what I'm talking about is 3 to 5 minute that summarizes one particular technique or drill, and then you move on to the next one, and then you just create more and more of those short videos. And that also allows people to look in the curriculum section and, oh, that's a particular drill on side kicks, I'll go and look at that drill, or that's a drill on defense, I'll go and look at that drill. So it allows people to select the right parts of the course for them.
And can I ask you about like revenue for online programming? So
Yeah.
what does that look like? If you run an online course, like obviously you had a school, so we all know like the range of revenue from martial arts school, right? Like in general, if you're doing like all right, you might be at the 10K a mark. That's like the first milestone that people need to get past, and they might be between 10K and I'm talking USD, so I don't know euros, but like 10K till some schools will do 70, 80K a month, and there's obviously the outliers will do 100 plus. So what about for online programming? What does that look like? What does your revenue look like?
First of all, in the UK, the pricing in comparison to the US is so much lower. So martial arts is not perceived as valuable. All martial arts instructors in the UK do a really bad job of promoting the value of martial arts. So whatever you're charging in the US, I'd half that for most schools in the UK. So
I have heard that before.
It's quite low. Yeah. So with an online business, just like a physical business, it is really down to the effort that you put into the business. If you are inconsistent, if you don't put much content out into the world, or if you're worried about trolls and people saying mean things about you, so you don't really promote, then revenue won't be great. But that's like a martial arts school. If you don't promote your martial arts school, your revenue is not going to be great either. You can't just expect people to walk in off the street and join your school. So it is down to marketing. The key difference, I would say, is you ideally want to create courses that you can sell to your own members, that you can then repackage and sell to people outside of your school who are interested in the same topic. So this is what I did with my school. I interviewed my students or surveyed my students, what you're struggling with most at the moment, and 3 things came back. Stretching, they didn't know how to stretch properly. Sequences, as in forms, they were struggling with forms, and sparring. So I was like, okay, I'll create a course around sparring. So I created a course around sparring, which I then sold to my own members and continued to sell to my own members until I sold my school, which I then repackaged and then sold to other instructors around the world as a sparring success sort of system or bundle. You can make money from online courses from your own students, and you can also sell those courses to other people around the world. As far as revenue goes, the key thing is, do you have an inbuilt audience? I've worked with course creators who've literally got 0 or a low number of students. So they've got to do the work of building an audience first that they're going to sell their courses to. And I've worked with YouTubers who 50 to 100,000 YouTube subscribers. And when they launch a course, it's instant revenue. It's literally one day the course is not live. The next day they've made $50,000, like that quick, because they've already built the audience. And as far as ongoing revenue, if you have multiple courses and you have multiple subscriptions, my own online course business brings in about $250,000 a year, just online, no physical teaching at all. So it provides a good living for me and my family, and doesn't require as much time as running a martial arts school did with teaching classes, marketing, taking care of students, customer care, staff training, all of that. In a sense, online businesses are simpler because it's content creation, content distribution through email, social media, etc. And essentially that's kind of it. So it's not an easier business to run. That's not true. It's a different type of business to run, and it's way more scalable than a martial arts school, because the problem with a martial arts school is it's limited by your geography. You're in a town, and people are only going to travel to your martial arts school if they're in your town or near your town. Someone's not going to travel 1,000 miles to your school each week to train. But with an online business, I've got customers in over 100 countries around the world who are all buying courses, or Japan, Australia, Canada, US, Brazil, Philippines, like all over the world, people are buying online courses. So that means my school, if you think about it, is quite large. I've got around 15,000 people who've bought courses from me. That's the size of my school, which is quite large in that sense.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So
How many of
yeah,
those are recurring?
about 35% at the moment, but I'm trying to take that up to 50%.
And then what's the churn rate for online uh, courses like this? I've heard like 40% or 30% throughout the year, between 30 and 40.
It depends how good a job you do of communicating your subscription members and offering extra services and support to them so that they feel like they want to stick. Like if you just create a subscription product and it's delivering content, but there's no supplemental support, no reaching out, no answering questions, no feedback, no community linked to it, then churn will be higher. But the more you provide the community aspect to it, the better it works as a business. So
Hmm.
it really does vary. Just like a martial arts school, you can have like poor churn rate in a martial arts school because you're not fully serving the members, not taking care of their problems, not working with them, and getting to know them. Same
Yeah,
kind of
but
approach in life.
the average, let's say, attrition rate for a school, like a really good school, is going to be between 2 and 3%, like the top
Mm,
of the industry, right?
mm,
The schools that
yeah.
are not doing that great are going to be like 10%,
Mm,
okay, or maybe even
yes.
higher. That's like really bad. Like a regular gym, like a Planet Fitness, like box gym where you just lift weights, is going to be like between 10 and 20%. So, like for online, what's the range? That's what's considered
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah. Really good is like under 10%, and then it can go up, obviously. But the reason why the attrition rate is different is because there's not that personal contact with the person who's bought the course in Brazil, like there would be if they were in your school. That bonding of meeting people and talking to them and listening to them is what creates that better retention rate. But there's things you can do to bring that down, obviously, which is more about communication and community. But it is, yeah, it is what it is. It's higher than a martial arts school, definitely.
So, what kind of strategies do you use to build a community so people feel connected?
Creating separate groups based on interest is a good idea. So I sell courses mainly around kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, Jeet Kune Do, Filipino martial arts. Ideally, you want to create little siloed communities are based around that. And platforms like Thinkific allow you to create different communities based on interest. So I have a little community for my kickboxers and a different community for my MMA people. You could do it with Facebook groups and other community type things like that as well. So the idea of that is that people get to hang around with other people who share a similar interest, which creates that bond and that community. People start speaking to each other, they start connecting outside of your course platform, which is great. And then just being available to communicate with your members if they have a problem. So if anyone has a problem with my site, or they've lost their login details, or they can't understand a particular drill or sequence, they can WhatsApp me. So I have my WhatsApp number on my website and I respond to messages. So if someone WhatsApps me, I'm not sure about this drill, I'll actually respond to them. And that keeps them close to you and shows that you care about them, which obviously builds that connection and builds that community and keeps them within your memberships longer.
Hmm.
I don't take calls. So if someone calls me, I'm like, I don't know his number, I'm not going to pick up. But I do take WhatsApp messages. And also, I find out of the 15,000 members I've got, like, I only get a WhatsApp once a week or something. So
Okay.
it's not like I'm inundated with people getting 100 WhatsApps a week. It's very few people who reach out. But if they do, I try and respond and help them.
Yeah, one of the things I was thinking about doing, and tell me if you think this is a good idea or not. So I have the one-on-one coaching, which I just get on a call with them every single week. So I know I'm going to talk to them. I know exactly where they're at in the process. I know what I do is we have a hit list of all their local schools and daycares in the area. We talk about each one. Okay, how to go with this one, how to go with this one. Okay, this one didn't work because we messed this part up. Okay, let's fix it for the next one. Okay, let's watch a recording. So I know exactly what they're up to. And since
Yeah.
this is going to be a group coaching, it's going to be I'm not going to know exactly what people are up to. So I was thinking, and obviously I can't do one-on-one calls with people who are paying a cheap price of $99 like biweekly or something. I guess my question is, or what I was thinking about doing, tell me if you think this is a good idea, is I was going to have like office hours, like
Hmm.
once a week, have, okay, this hour long time, you can come on Zoom and ask me any question you want, and I can help you. But have either me or one of my other coaches, here's a set time, get on there. I'll post a recording later for people who miss it. Have you done that before? Has that worked? Not worked?
Yeah. It's a great idea because what you'll find is very few people actually come to you with problems. Say you've got 100 people in a membership or subscription. There's typically like less than 10% who are going to be having issues or problems. So you're not going to get overwhelmed with like lots of people on the office hour. And what you'll actually find is it's the same people who show up each week, and that they just like hanging out with you and having a chat with you. So they want
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Okay.
they want that more personal connection. Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and it's low commitment from you and recorded so you can use it for other purposes as well.
What other challenges do you think I'll run into that I don't anticipate based on someone who's already done this?
Well, you're already really good at marketing and really good at promoting. So that's the main battle, I would say. Most martial arts instructors have a problem promoting themselves because we are taught about humility through martial arts and not promoting ourselves. So half of us is shouldn't promote myself because it's not the martial arts way. And the other business side of us is you got to promote yourself because that's what helps your business grow. So
Right.
I think because you've overcome that battle in your head and you're good at marketing, I don't anticipate any major problems. You're good with tech as well. So that's the other thing that tends to stop martial arts instructors is like a fear of technology or an issue with technology. How do you feel about criticism? Do you mind people saying negative things about you online?
I like to screenshot it and save it in a folder. I enjoy it. Now, if it's just stupid criticism, F your mother, I'm like, all right, that's dumb. But if it's like actually a good burn, then I'll screenshot it and say, I'm okay with it. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I see how people comment on anyone's post who has any notoriety or any following. I'm like, all right, well, if they're doing it to them, then I don't
Yeah.
care if someone does it to me. I get comments that say McDojo every day because so it doesn't bother me.
So, I mean, you're lucky. You're thick-skinned like me, and it just goes over my head. I don't pay attention to anything anyone else says, especially if I've never met them or trained with them or know them. I only listen to my own peers, people I've met or respect. So that's a top tip. But a lot of instructors are incredibly sensitive to online criticism. So they could put up a video, they could get 50 people saying nice things. One person says, you suck. And they go crazy and they get all stressed out. I mean, because you're not like that, it's not a problem for you, but it's a thing that I think a lot of instructors do worry about. And the key is to focus on the people who are enjoying what you're creating, not on the one person who dislikes it. You're always going to have one or two people who say something negative. Just focus on the people you're actually helping, the people you're trying to help, and keep focused on that. But it shouldn't be a problem for you. So I think that combination of you're good at marketing, you're good with tech, and you're not sensitive to criticism, I can't see any obvious issues you'll have.
Yeah, thank you. I
At the
appreciate
moment.
that. Yeah, I'm sure. I'll run into issues later. The only thing I'm worried about is the school owners who are under 100 students or under 10K a month in revenue, which who is going to be designed for, are usually the ones that need the most help and have the most trouble implementing. And I'm nervous that that's going to take up so much of my time that I'm going to be like, oh, I should be focusing on the people that I actually make the most money with, right? So that's
Yes,
where we're going to have
true.
to find a balance.
Yeah, I mean, why would you be helping them with implementation? Would you just, at that price point, would you just not be covering?
No, I wouldn't be helping them with implementation. I don't know. Maybe I'm worried that people are going to be messaging me questions and being extra needy and extra like they need their hand held for everything. Because usually it's the people that are, if someone is a one-on-one client with me, I have no problem holding their hand. But most of the time, they're already doing, like my average client does like $27,000 a month. That's average. Some do already. Like I have a client now that's already doing 100 plus K a month. So they don't need to be handheld. They understand how to run a business. They just need some strategy,
Yeah.
right? And like the strategy, it's usually it's small hinges that swing big doors, so that they get it. They're sophisticated. They don't have time to ask me where do I find this, as opposed to just searching it themselves, right?
Yes. So part of the training you might want to give these new instructors is growth mindset and how to answer questions themselves and how to find the solution to things and make it very clear that you can only do so much and set some strict boundaries on how much help you can afford to give people, and then explain there are higher levels if they want to upgrade to get more hands-on help. But I know what you mean. It's a problem you might experience. Yeah, you're gonna have to try it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what
See.
happens. I mean, worst comes to worst, I'll just cancel the whole thing. But I don't anticipate doing it. I want to be able to help people who are below the level. Like they just can't afford thousands of dollars every month for a
Yes.
mastermind. or one-on-one
Yes.
coaching like that I offer. So there's got to be some way to help them get to that point, and then they'll want to work with me further, which is cool too.
Yeah, I mean, I
The other
think
thing,
part of it is with your, if you create an online course that gives them the fundamentals of martial arts business, and part of your requirement is that they have to maybe take certain quizzes within it and get a certain pass rate, so we understand, or show you that they're taking action to then get access the coaching part of it. Because there is a problem where a lot of people can just consume content without taking any action and then go, it's not working for me. So a lot of the internet marketing gurus will do like guarantees based on, if you can show me that you've done everything I've asked you to do,
action
then
based, yeah.
yeah. So maybe that might help a bit.
That's a good idea because we do action based guarantee for our martial arts schools. Like we'll say, hey, if you come twice a week for the first 30 days and you don't love it, we'll refund your money. Right. And
Exactly.
like, how often does someone come twice a week for 30 days and they don't love it?
Not
And if they
love it.
don't,
Exactly.
then it's our fault, right? It's our problem, not theirs. But it has to be like they actually show up and do it, not, oh, I came once and never showed up again. No, you got to push past the beginning. One of the things I thought was interesting, I heard, because I've been doing research, and if you're having trouble getting past the technology part, I know it can be intimidating, but just know that tools and services online have gotten so much better and
Oh
easier
yeah.
over time. I am not a tech wizard. I usually just search on YouTube how to do blah, and there'll
Yep.
be a bazillion videos of how to do it with whatever software. And so if you think like you're worried about technology, not know how to do something, it's just a learning curve. You figure out how to do sparring, you can figure out how to make a video. Okay. It's not, and it will take a long time in the beginning, right? Sometimes I've spent 3 hours making a 40-second video before, and it's mind numbing. But the more you do it, the better you get at it, right? And then
Yep.
eventually, you can hire other people to do it.
Yeah, and
So
also
don't be
there's bits of
intimidated.
software like CapCut, which you can upload a video and it can make it look amazing for social media just with a few clicks of a button. But you're right, YouTube is your savior. But that's because you've got a growth mindset. Other people would go and try and use CapCut and go, oh, I can't make it work, and just throw their phone over their shoulder, and that would be it. That'd be the end of it. But people like me and you who are problem and solution focused, not problem focused, will then go and research the solutions ourselves. So it is, you are right, it's a lot easier to use these bits of software than it's ever been. One of my most successful clients is 75 years old. He's a 75-year-old martial artist, and he films and
Cool.
edits videos and uploads them to the platform and creates discounts and codes and sales and email automation. And he's doing all of his stuff at 75 years old. So I don't think there's any excuse for anyone under that age to say, I can't do it, really.
Yeah, and CapCut's so easy, and pay the $10 a month, right? Don't stress out. If you want to charge other people for a subscription, you're not willing to get a subscription. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's where I make all my memes. All my memes are on CapCut. I love it. They have templates. I just make it martial arts business themed. Super, super easy. The other one I use is Descript.
Yes.
Do you use that?
I use something very similar, but yeah, I'm familiar with Descript because it just allows you to edit it like a Word document and do also cool
Yeah.
things.
So if you're not a tech person, Descript is it creates a transcript from whatever video you're doing, like Matt and I are recording right now. And later, if I want to take things out, instead of editing a video between like 9 seconds, 14 seconds, I want to take out, you just see the transcript of the words and you highlight the words you want to take out and hit backspace, and it deletes those words and it deletes the video of those words. And it's like magic. It's literally like black magic. It's incredible. It's super smooth. You would have no idea someone edited it most of the time. And it's absolutely amazing. So Descript, I think that's $50 a month. But that's what I love about online is, okay, it's really great because the profit margins are so much higher.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
you, go ahead.
It's crazy, the profit margins. My business is 90% plus profit margin because it's
Yeah.
digital content that's really easy for me to create. The bits of software I use to edit the video are like $10 a month. The platforms, maybe $100 a month. My main expense would be advertising. So it's really good. The only issue with that is taxes.
Yeah. Well, I don't think taxes are going anywhere.
No, unfortunately not.
But yeah, I mean, I think my margin right now is at 84%, something like that,
For
for
online
online
or
coaching.
okay, yeah,
Online.
brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, no. The martial arts school is going to be between 30 to 40%, usually around
yeah,
the 35% range. But yeah, I mean, I love that because I can do it all myself and I don't need other people and I can control my time.
yeah.
And since I have So I sold one of my schools, my main headquarters school. I sold about 6 months ago,
Oh,
and
okay.
very scary. So I still have two more schools, but I have like partners in those. So I don't make as much money because I have equity partners in it. But I also doesn't take up a ton of my time like the headquarters did.
Yeah.
And it's taken me about 6 months, and I don't make the same gross revenue as I did with the martial arts school, but I make the same amount of profit right now. So
Ah,
it's holy
yeah.
shit. And I was very scared. I mean, it's scary to sell your school. You did it, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
it is.
scary to jump into online. Like I was doing consulting before 6 months ago, but more of a side thing. Like it was
Mhm.
now this is my job. Right. And of course, like when you put all your effort into marketing and connecting with people online and putting out valuable content, then more people reach out to you, more people
Yeah,
register. And you got to be okay with failing. I've had way more failed sales calls than I've had successful sales calls.
of
Way, way
course. Yeah.
more, and that's all right. And some of them, I'm like, damn, this person was probably never going to buy because they weren't the right fit. And some of them, I think they were going to buy, and I messed it up. I talked too much. Of course, I record everything, and then I'll watch it later. But okay, where did this go wrong? And
Yeah.
the same thing we do with our schools. I beg people, watch recordings of your classes, watch recordings of your enrollments, because
Mm,
until you watch yourself, we call it game film review.
mm,
Until you do game film review, then you'll never know exactly what happened. And you don't really care what happened
yeah.
unless you actually sit back and watch it. And it is painful to sit and watch yourself. It is. It's not fun to do,
Why
but
did
I
I say that?
always,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. All the time. I tell people not to say that. And then I said it. And I'm like, oh my God,
Mm,
I can't, this is
yeah.
embarrassing. Right.
Yeah.
It definitely happens. But if you want to do online, I think you got to really realize that you're now a marketing person more than anything.
Yes. Yes. Which is
You
why
agree?
a lot of instructors struggle, and which is why the creators who've already either created an audience through teaching for a long period of time and get known in the industry do well, or people who've already created some social media content do well because they've already overcome that hurdle and they're already actively promoting themselves and putting themselves out there. Like online courses are not a create it, put it on the internet, make millions.
No.
Unfortunately, you have to be sharing content with various different people in various different ways to attract your ideal audience that you're talking about, who will then go through a series of steps to becoming like a lifelong fan. There's a guy called Forrest who was one of my first people on YouTube, who watched all my YouTube videos and commented. Then he went to my Facebook page, liked my Facebook page, looked through all of that, commented. Then he got a free course that I was putting out and he loved that. So then he bought a low price course, then he bought a mid price course, then he bought all my courses. Then, when he was in Europe with his fiance, he flew over to the UK to train with me one on one. Then he went through my instructor training program. So it started from one little YouTube video he saw 6 years ago to him becoming like a mega fan of Mitmaster. So that's the journey you need to take people on, from seeing a single piece of content to essentially purchasing everything you've ever created and becoming an evangelist for your brand and for your business. And that takes marketing and time and patience. But most people think that the internet is a solution to all their financial problems. So they create a course and they don't promote it. And then they wonder why they're not generating any sales. And then they have a massive tantrum and say online courses don't work. And then they never create another online course. But that's not realistic. That's almost opening a martial arts school, creating the most beautiful martial arts school with the best equipment, and Bruce Lee's teaching, Jigoro Kano, Gichin Funakoshi, and whoever you like are the instructors. And then you just shut the door and you just wait for people to come and knock on the door and say, I want to join your martial arts school. It's just not going to happen. So the same applies online. You have to be actively promoting. But luckily, there's lots of ways now that you can promote your online business, not just social media. There's other things you can do as well to get it out there.
So, besides social media, how else do you promote an online business? It's not the main area.
No, I would, well, yes and no. I would start with YouTube, because YouTube is a place that people go, because YouTube's not social media. It's a search engine essentially. So people go there to find how to do a spinning hook kick. How do I do this particular arm lock in jiu-jitsu? How do I? So they go there to get their problems solved. So if you create content that's engaging, that solves people problems on YouTube, you'll start to build an audience of fans and subscribers that you can then move on to buying your online courses. So I would start with YouTube if you can. And then next step I would do is look for affiliates or people, influencers that you can work with to promote your course, because there are people out there who've got large audiences who will resonate with the type of content you're creating. And if you can work out a deal where they would promote your content to their audience in exchange for a commission, which would be 50%, 60%, 70%, doesn't matter, and they've got 10,000, 100,000, 500,000 people on their list, you can grow really quick, because a percentage of their audience will purchase your course. They become your customer, then you give them their commission, and then you continue on from there. That's another way that you can do it without necessarily hitting the social media side of it hard. Social media helps, of course, but if you don't want to play the whole social media game of trying to create engaging content and generating likes, comments, shares, responding to people, banning people who say mean things about you, you can go down like the YouTube route or the partnership route, and there's various other ways as well.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't really gone too much into YouTube. I mean, I'll post my podcast in there and some tutorial videos, but I definitely have not done that enough. So that's a really good tip.
Well, it's a place where people need help, and you're either going to YouTube for entertainment or education. That's it. There's nothing else on YouTube. So you're either going to watch Mr. Beast do something crazy, or you're going along to, how do I do this, or how do I fix this, or I need to improve this, or ideas for this, or can you help me? And then it gives you answers to the problem. So it's super targeted, which means you can find your ideal person. Like, how do I market my martial arts school? How do I get more students? Put that on YouTube, create a good video. With YouTube, there are other things to think about, like your thumbnail needs to be strong. Your first 3 seconds of your video needs to get straight into it without too much rambling. But the people I get who come from YouTube spend more money in my business than my social media fans.
Interesting. Because they're looking for a solution.
Yeah. My target audience who've got a problem, they need a bit of help, and I can help them.
Yeah, I've definitely done that from a consumer side where I'm trying to solve a tech issue or something. And then I go to YouTube and someone's book a call right here if you want help, and it's blah, blah, blah amount of money. I'm like, all right, well, they know what they're talking about. I'll book it right now. It sounds good. If you want help, and yeah, I've definitely done it from that end. So if I was a martial arts school owner and I'm like, okay, I want to right now start an online program that's going to supplement my income for my martial arts students, even if I don't even sell it outside, even if I just sell it to my martial arts students, what would you start with? Like, how would I start that process?
Like I mentioned before, you survey your students. What are you struggling with? What do you need help with? Because of where we teach classes, we may not be able to go into enough depth to cover certain problems that students are having within the classes. Then so let's say most of your students come back with sparring. You would create a workshop which they could attend, which would be a paid workshop, but you keep the price relatively low because you want lots of people to show up to the workshop because you're going to film it and use it as your first product. And there's a thing called social proof. If you have a workshop where there's 2 students and it looks like you don't know what you're talking about because there's no one there. So you keep the price of your workshop low, but then you get 30 to 50 students showing up for the workshop. So in the background of your video, there's a large group of people watching you. Anyone else who watches that thinks this person must know what they're talking about. They've got 30 people there. Then you would teach them that problem or teach them how to overcome that problem that they're struggling with, and film the entire event, either through a smartphone on a tripod or actually paying a videographer to come and do a decent video. You'd then sell the copy of the workshop back to the students that attended, because they won't be able to remember everything, and then sell it to the other members of your school who didn't attend because of work commitments, family commitments, and then continue to sell that recording to new members when they join your school who are struggling with that problem, and then repackage it to then sell it externally from your school.
Wow. Okay. That's great. And the thing I like about it is you're just repackaging. You're not necessarily changing the video. You're just putting different gift wrap on it. Which whenever I can do that, I'd rather do that than record a whole new video or change everything and start over again.
And also, most instructors are great at teaching to a group. They're passionate, they come across well, they're energized, they're infused. But if you put that same instructor in front of a camera, just a single camera, they start stuttering, they start making mistakes, they don't like that camera looking at them, they start sweating and stressing out. So to start with, I would start with recording seminars because it's easier for the instructor, and the enthusiasm and passion comes through when they teach, and it comes across on camera much better. After you've done like a few different products, then I would start looking at maybe supplementing that with more focused products where it's you and a demo student and a camera or a videographer and they film it for you. But to build your confidence up presenting, best to just do seminars. Plus, if you think about it, you're being paid $1,000 to teach the seminar, which is your content. So you're getting paid to create content rather than the other way around, which is to do all the work of filming it and then try and selling it. So yeah, that worked really well. And that product I created, which was called the Sparring Success System 15 years ago, is still selling to this day. I sold a copy of it this week to my audience online. So it's something I created 15 years ago that is still selling today. And that's the power of online businesses. Is the issue with teaching martial arts is you have to go and teach martial arts every night to get paid, or you have to employ someone to teach martial arts for you every night to get paid. If you stop teaching or your employees stop teaching, people leave your business. With an online product, you create it once and it can continue to sell for 5, 10, 15, 20 years or longer online. So it's just way more scalable.
Yeah, and I think if you're listening to this right now and you're struggling with your brick and mortar, I don't think this online business is going to save you
No,
necessarily. Would you agree with that? I think
no.
you're like, all right, I'm going to make some videos. I'm going to sell online. He said, blah,
Yeah,
blah,
yeah,
blah. If you don't have the discipline to work through not making any money for probably at least a year, or very little money, and you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay with failure. But if you don't have the good business discipline, none of it's going to matter anyway. If you can't make an in-person martial arts school like work at all, there's probably some fundamental issues that making an online program is not going to fix that. Would you agree with that?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Business is business. If you can't run a physical business, an online business is not going to make a difference. But if you have, let's say you've got a successful martial arts school, it's working like clockwork, things are happening, it's growing, revenue is coming in and profits are good, the same set of skills can be transferred to an online business. So you're right. Yeah, it's not like it's not going to save anyone's ass if they need to, but if you're already doing well, it's an extra string to your bow, and it's a revenue stream that's diversified from your classes. Now, the classic example is when the pandemic happened. In the UK, I'd been talking to instructors, you've got to create online resources because who knows what could happen. You could have a flood, your business could get shut down for whatever reason. Everyone was like, yeah, Matt, all right, you're talking rubbish. My business is solid. And then the pandemic hit, and in the UK, martial arts schools were closed for 18 months to 2 years. And everyone was then teaching online via Zoom because they had to. And suddenly people woke up to the fact that there's things that happen that are outside of your control that can close down your business. Why not just have this other revenue stream building over time in the background so that in 5, 10 years time, it's making as much as your martial arts school or more. And then you can just make the decision. Do I want to continue with the martial arts school, which I would recommend you do? Or do I want to focus more on the line? Or could the revenue generated by the online pay for a general manager for my martial arts school and they could handle the day-to-day bits and pieces and I could just focus on content creation? And I just think it opens up lots of new and exciting opportunities.
Yeah, focus on what you enjoy. If you hate being in front of the camera and you hate being an online marketing person, then don't do that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
obviously you wanted to go through that after having a brick and mortar school for 19 years. And same for me, I didn't have for 19 years, but over a decade. And I was like, okay, what's the next part of my journey? But some people, they want to have a brick and mortar school. They want to be in front of people. They want to have that connection. And that's
yeah,
freaking great too. You're making an amazing living from that as well. So stick to what you actually really enjoy and want to do, and then you'll be successful if you just follow business
yeah.
fundamentals. So
I would also say if you are thinking about doing online courses, do them now because every day you delay, your body and your skills deteriorate. I don't know how old you are, but I'm approaching 50 this year. And the stuff I could do in my 30s, my 50-year-old body is not really letting me do so well. And it's a lot more painful and it's a lot more warm up needed and struggle. I would, even if you never create an online course, I'd recommend all instructors do this. Record your legacy as a martial artist because you've trained 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And when you die, that's going to disappear. It's just going to go. And you might say, well, I've got students who are going to carry it on. Well, they're going to carry on their legacy, their variations, their journey. It's not going to be the same as yours. And your art will change as they change as human beings. If you want to record who you are and your legacy as a martial artist over 40, 50 years of training, record it all and just have it as a legacy product you could even give away to your future students. Do it now because as you age, things happen, knee injuries pop up, hip problems pop up, operations happen, backs give out, necks give out, and in 10 years time you go, I wish I'd filmed that online course now or that legacy product now back 10 years ago, because now I've got issues with pain and movement. So yeah, even if you're not going to sell it, create it, leave it as a legacy product for future generations of martial artists.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on here and telling people what's even possible for online. And I think there's not many martial arts operators that do as much revenue as you do, all online, which is amazing. Maybe like the Gracies probably, and probably a handful of others, right?
They're doing a few million.
Yeah, they're doing a few million. So they're doing great. But there's not many. There's really not many. So
there's not, no.
So thank you so much for coming on here. If someone wanted to reach out to you, get access to your courses, ask a question, how can they find you?
So my online courses for pad holding, which is what I'm known for, go to mitmaster.com. And if they need a little bit of help setting up online courses, go to teachyourpassiononline.co.uk, teachyourpassiononline.co.uk. And that's where I have online courses about setting this up, or they can do a bit of coaching with me if they need a bit of help.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. My name is Matthew Brenner. And if you have any questions, you can find me at wdojo.com or on Instagram at blackbeltbrenner1, especially if you want to learn how to grow your martial arts school organically. That means without depending on ads, but setting up strategic partnerships with local schools, daycares, or businesses. So you never have to worry about gambling your hard-earned money on Facebook ads. You can go out and actually earn students and take control of your future. All right. Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you. Enjoyed it. Thanks.